What's happening? Before I let you get stuck into this podcast, I need you for one wee tiny minute. This isn't like a sponsored ad or anything. Basically, I lost the plot and I booked a flight to Belfast so I could hire out a studio for the next 4 podcast guests. Now, I drive an 06 plate Ford Fiesta that used to be my auntie's. I also still live in a place called View Park. If you're not from near Glasgow, basically View Park, to sum it up, every now and then I get kept up till about 4 in the morning with my next door neighbour playing Freddie Mercury every time Celtic win. So that's probably the best way to sum up whereabouts I live. Hiring out studios in different countries and getting kept up to 4 in the morning with Freddie Mercury doesn't quite add up. So what I need you to do is sign up to the early bird access of the Gym Will Fix It programme. Yes, that is what it's going to be called, and yes, I'm aware that's probably too far. So get signed up to that so that you can basically give me your money so I can pay for all of this. As well as that, whatever you're listening or watching on, I don't care, Spotify, rate it, Apple, leave me a review, boost my ego, YouTube, like and subscribe, tell your mums, dads, aunties, and even those weird uncles you have that spent far too many years tucking you into bed when your mum and dad were out. I'll take them. Give me them. Enjoy the show. Right, can I start this podcast, Sean, by making a truce or a deal that we don't say the word calorie?
That sounds good. That sounds very good.
Right?
We're not allowed to say it, yeah. Because what have we done? Maybe like 5 or 6 podcasts on my fitness podcast.
The Gavin and Casey podcast.
And we covered everything. We covered everything. That was like
from reverse diet to like people still talk to me about those podcasts.
That may as well have been your podcast as well at one stage. Like people love them episodes.
Oh, see, like your first like 20 episodes, I must have been in about 6 of them.
Oh yeah.
Because I'm guessing what happened was you would try to get another guest and like no one would reply, and then I'll go, I'll do it.
Yeah. No, what it was when you're first starting a podcast or something like that, you're not really that comfortable. But if you have someone that you know that you gel well with, you're like, I'll just get Gavin on. It's handy, and people love them. So I was like, why wouldn't I just continue to do them? But that was that when you first started doing podcasts, your first appearance?
My first ever podcast was the one we done where I can specifically remember being in lockdown, and like I was setting it up on front, like on my chair, and like you heard all the noises in my houses and all that. And then we had to start it like 8 times.
Yeah. You shit
that was
yourself.
when I realised that, this is quite hard.
Yeah. Oh, mate, it is deadly. People don't understand, like, even if you're just listening to a podcast, even before it, like, even though I've done so many podcast episodes, like, the 10 seconds before, you're like, fuck, shit's getting real, and it is hard to get your point across.
I usually shit myself every time, but I'm not shitting myself for this one. The last episode I uploaded was with 2 comedians called Jamaica Street, right? And I've been having loads of fitness people on. So like, see when people are talking about fitness, I'm like autopilot as well.
Yeah.
So even though I'm not saying the exact same thing every time, because I try not talk, I don't want to talk about calories, don't want to talk about fitness. But I had 2 comedians on, and mate, they were doing like these American accents and like German accents, and I just thought it was hilarious. But I was like, how do I just keep them doing that? Because I can't do an American accent. I can't like join in or anything. So I was like, do you know what I mean? So it was actually like a comedy podcast, and I'm a PT. So although I can chip in with the odd like bit of humour, I was like, I just want them to be funny, but I don't know anything about America.
I find it so much easier to be a guest on a podcast than host it, because when you're hosting it, you have to dictate, right, where am I going with this? What's the next question? Whereas if you're a guest, it's quite easy. Just you're only answering.
You were
questions.
saying that you don't really get nervous for them, but you get so let's talk about that. You were saying that you don't really get nervous for podcasts, but you try to do a talk in your local boxing gym, and you get nervous for that.
Yeah, it's just completely different. Like, people might look at me online, and I literally post videos that get seen by millions of people on nearly a weekly basis. But when you have people right in front of you, and especially when it's quite like a serious talk, you're unsure what they're thinking, it's just completely different. Like, we're recording this podcast and it's going to be seen by many people, and if they're all sitting in front of me right now, I'd be like looking at their eyes, what are they thinking? I just have a tendency to overthink things. So even though people might see me on a podcast or see my content, they're like, he's confident, he can do that. You can be confident in some areas of your life, but then still need to massively work on other areas.
What other areas of your life that you do think you want to work on? I've not seen you in like a year, which is actually mad.
Yeah.
Like, what I was thinking before I came here, I was like, I wonder if I can see things where he's maybe changed.
Yeah.
Because you're a lot younger than me as well. I'm from I can remember being been 20 to like 23 is probably the most I changed, I think. Do you think you've changed over the last like year?
Yeah, I think I've definitely matured a lot. I've definitely got different focuses. I think not even in the past year, right? So, see if you knew me when I was, and I've talked about this in podcast loads before, when I was 16, 17, 18. I went through, well, even before that, I was always a sporty person into fitness. And then once I hit 16, 17, 18, 19, I was Casey, the party animal, the one that liked to drink 2 or 3 or 4 times a week and would never have said no to a drink. And that was my new identity. So not even in the past year, but in the past sort of 2.5 years, my identity's completely switched to someone that people would only text if they were looking to ask me to go out for a drink, to suddenly now people are asking me for business advice and advice growing their social media and all of this crazy stuff. So there's been a major change in a good way. But I was going down a path that was not leading to anywhere good at all, and I feel like a lot of people, especially in this country, are going down the exact same path where they're drinking multiple times a week, where they're partying, doing lots of things that they shouldn't be doing, with no clear vision about where they want to go. But it's completely normalized. So I'm lucky that lockdown came along and sort of snapped me out of that. And I'm a different person. I'm always changing and evolving, and I'm constantly working on myself. But there's no way that you don't change when you go from trying to just drink or thinking about the next party and thinking about when you're going out drinking to suddenly running like 4 different businesses and have all this following online. It happened very fast, and it's a lot. But yeah, I said that there's a change, definitely. Like,
the one thing I wanted to ask you as well, and you probably know that I've asked you similar questions to like this quite a lot, is so you've built quite a successful like social media page. You've got followers on all platforms. Any women on the go?
No women on the go. That's probably an area of my life that I need to work on. I feel like now.
Surely you've get nudes and all that.
No,
surely
mate.
you do, mate.
No, mate. I don't use my position of authority to take advantage. But
why the fuck not?
Fuck off.
That's what it's there for.
No, I feel like I'm very much in a avoidant. Is that where like I avoid getting too close with people because I feel like I'm so focused
people
on...
as in just like
or no, not
the opposite sex, or do you mean like friends
like,
and stuff as well?
I feel like or no, not friends, like, but I have distanced myself a lot there too because I'm so focused on business.
Would this make you nervous, like talking about this?
No, it doesn't make me nervous at all. It's actually like talking about this because when you're talking about things like this, you're almost thinking out loud. Like, we've not pre-planned anything here, so
this is I specifically want to ask you stuff that like I don't know about you that I want to know.
No, yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So I don't even care about who's listening. It's like this is like a selfish sort of like this is what I would text you. I would. How many times have I been like that?
I know.
Any women in the DMs?
But no, we would, like, if we backtrack the areas of my life that I need to work on, definitely relationships and things like that, and just with you know yourself, and you've talked about this, with our job, you can just be by yourself the full time. You have to go out and actively meet people and actively do things. That's why I'm looking forward to getting over to Australia in January. I'm looking forward to doing more group activities and putting myself out of my comfort zone, doing like fitness classes, like not taking them but taking part in them.
Oh, you're going to be a spin instructor?
Yeah, spin instructor.
Right on the bike.
The tables have turned, but no, there is... People often said to me like, "Oh, you're so wise for years. You've done all this successful stuff." But there's a trade-off for every bit of success that you have. So when you grow the social media and you grow the business, your relationships, your social life, it all takes a back seat. So you can't look at someone's life and be like, they're so successful. They're successful in specific areas, but then they're maybe not as successful in other areas. And that's why I think with social media and things like that, it's easy to compare yourself and be like, "Oh, look at what they have. Look at the amount of money they're making." But you don't look at what they don't have. You know, there's always a trade-off. So when you get something has to be sacrificed.
Well, I don't know about you, but I always look at the trade-off, as in I think people that don't maybe understand it all, but I'm always like, for example, like James Smith, I have zero jealousy. Like, I think I like his content, I think he's good, but I have zero jealousy of his like life. Like I think that's the life he wants. I'm not saying there's anything bad about it, but I look at that and go, I would hate that. Like, I would hate to be recognised that much as well. And I think he lives through his phone quite a lot. Like, as in it's the story, and I really don't. I feel quite disgusting if I story like what I'm doing all the time. Do you know what I mean? See if even right now it's like, look, we're filming. I know I'm fucking in front of 3 very fancy cameras talking about my life. Like, oh, look at me. But it's more like the storying, or like try to make your life look better than what it is, which you do naturally on social media, even if you aren't aware of it. Like, when you're on holiday, that's when you're most active on social media, like if you're not someone who uses it for business and stuff. And I always feel quite minging doing stuff like that.
Yeah, it's not something that comes naturally to me either. What I like to think about with my social media is every time I'm posting something, how is this having value to other people? And sometimes I'm just posting my dog, sometimes I'm posting with my family and things like that, and just sharing part of my life to help people build that connection. But I'm definitely not, like, even if you look at my stories, it's mostly just question boxes and the odd thing, because I'm trying to help people, I'm trying to provide value. And the whole, like, my social media, it's not about me. It's about how can I help people with their fitness, how can I help people with these different aspects of their life. Whereas I feel like the people that constantly story and do things, they've built the following because it's all about them. Whereas my social media is all about other people. How can I help other people? And it's not really that much to do with me. Obviously, I'm in the video and getting my personality across, but it's mostly just how can I provide value?
And
what
at
can
the
I talk
same
about?
time, you're getting a wee bit of dopamine from that.
Oh yeah, like the if you deny the fact that you're getting dopamine and you deny the fact that it makes you feel good when your social media is doing well, that like it's human nature when you're doing these things. You want your social media to be good, you want it to be moving in the right direction, but there's a major difference between understanding that and then a lot of people will be like, I need this amount of followers or this amount of likes to be happy. You can understand that it makes you feel good, you can use it as a success metric, but you can't put off your true happiness from social media. Like,
where if business is like your main sort of thing that you're doing all the time, spending most of your time doing that, and that isn't like what makes you fully happy, what is then for you?
What do you mean?
Like what do you do outside of work? If you're like I'm aware that isn't just the only metric for happiness. What do you do outside
I have
of work?
a great family life too.
Yeah.
I
well,
really,
you do. I've met your family.
Yeah, no, I have to give a massive shout out to, like, a lot of the time we have to understand when we have these different privileges, and like I'm hard working on that, but I have a lot of luck. For example, I talked about this on I started the Social Circle podcast. I talked about this in the introduction.
You try to be
episode.
the opposite of Molly me.
Yeah, no, but we do, like, I have to establish that when I was trying to quit drinking, or not quit drinking, but drink less and focus on myself, we came into lockdown. So I was forced to do that. So I have these things going in my favor. I could fully focus on social media, and my family too. They're extremely supportive. I still live at home, and they accommodate me very well in the house. My family are all very good to me. So that's one of the main.
What was that I was doing in front of your mum again? Was it
eating the cucumber?
I've done a few weird things in your house. Didn't
You
I?
have, lad. You have. My mum was all like, "I'll bring the dog up." Remember, she nearly attacked you.
Oh yeah, as soon as I walked in, oh nice to meet you. The fucking dog was chasing me around the living room.
Yeah, he's the less friendly one.
And I can just remember getting raging because I was trying to put a fork back in all the dishes that were already there. Fucking fuming. If you're so when you talk about all of that and like you don't come across as materialistic and stuff, you actually haven't, like, you don't look like you're spending your money madly and stuff.
I don't live according to my means at all. It doesn't bring me very much fulfillment spending lots of money. The reason that I want to make money is because I want security and I want freedom to be able to travel. So I'll happily spend my money going on holidays. I'll happily spend my money going to Australia, maybe booking a more comfortable flight on my way to Australia. But I don't buy not comfortable. I don't buy designer clothes or often spend lots of money. So compared to the amount of money I've started to make, my spending hasn't went up, but I will still use the money. For example, some of the best money I've ever spent is on my car. A lot of people are all like, "Oh, don't invest loads of money into a car, it's a waste." I would pay double the price for my car because I enjoy driving it so much. I paid off my mum and dad's mortgage too, so that's obviously a pleasure thing. So I don't spend in the typical way that people that make money on social media, you expect them to. They're buying designer clothes, they're at the club, but I do spend on things that will actually
You should see my car,
bring
mate.
me fulfillment.
Do you
I
know
seen
what?
it. I was going to buy you a present, but I didn't even have time.
You could buy me a car?
I know, I was going to buy you an air freshener for your car, like just to say, or a card for passing
I was
your
getting
test.
Golf GTI then. I've got it's probably the most like female repellent car you'll ever see in your life.
No, it
Like I think, like, you know how everyone talks about how if a boy that can't drive is like the biggest dick, biggest red flag and stuff. I think the car I've got after passing my test at 27 is actually more of a repellent. I actually think I've managed to drive and repel more women.
Yeah, fact.
I've got a Ford Fiesta. My key ring says, my dad gave me a key. Yeah.
I can't remember what it said to remind me.
It said, I'd rather be shopping.
Oh, yes.
And I've got a monkey in the back that says monkeying around. I thought about taking it off, but I'm like, do you know what? That says a lot about I think that's like, it explains who I am.
Did you pass your test first go?
Of course I fucking did.
Yeah,
Mate. I've been doing lessons for 7 years.
Took me. Serious?
Yeah, well, I've tried and I've never got to the test. I always see when I was younger, mate. I just literally like I didn't have the attention span for anything, so I just used to keep doing lessons and then being like, I'm just gonna go somewhere for 3 months here. I used to just like go to Asia and shit. And I would just any money I got, I used to just spend it going other places. I just used to live with my dad. I would do a few jobs, get a bit of money, and then I'd fuck off, come back absolutely skint, and then get a new job and do the same thing.
Yeah.
That's all I done. So now that's like I matured very, very late. I wouldn't even say I'm mature at all. I'm not mature. I just can drive a car.
yeah.
Not even slightly. So all of that, I mean, like, you're not materialistic. You're not really spending your money on any sort of materialistic things. What brought you to Marbella of all places?
I originally didn't want to go to Marbella, but we couldn't think of anywhere else to go. So Tony and Sean, we wanted.
I know. Sorry.
Yeah.
The full globe.
What do you mean?
What do you mean you couldn't think of anywhere?
Oh no, because what we wanted was what we established.
Get a map out.
Wait, no, right. Here's the sort of success metrics we had. We wanted a good gym and warm weather, and Marbella seemed to have the best gym scene. And then we were looking at all these different places, and to be fair, I didn't research it. I was all like, oh yeah, we should definitely look into a few more places. And then they were like, yeah, we'll definitely do that. And then we were like, yeah, have we done that yet? And it's like, no, we'll just go to Marbella. But it wasn't as bad. I don't know. It wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. I thought I really wasn't going to like it. But I was originally meant to go for a month. Ended up staying for 2 months. So there was a lot that I did like about it. I liked the freedom of getting away, being in a different country. It was a bit of a novelty at the start because I've not done that before. And I liked being able to just go for a walk in the morning, train in the gym, and then you could go out for a meal in the evening. It was a nice atmosphere, especially when you're with a couple of other lads that do the same thing. Go down to the shisha bar and things like that. But it didn't feel like remember I talked about pleasure and happiness. It felt like a place with a lot of pleasure, but not a place with a lot of happiness.
Right.
So a lot of
Dubai.
Yeah, a lot of people are doing things for the gratification of other people. A prime example was we would go to a beach club, and then at that beach club, you had your bed until 6, and then once the beds ended, the nightclub opened. So people would be coming in after 6 and taking photos in other people's bed that they didn't pay for their Instagram, posing for like half an hour and just leaving. So if you're in a place where people literally care that much about how other people perceive them instead of actually having a good time themselves, I'm like, that's not really the place for me. So I feel like it's a lot of people with massive egos, a lot of people that care so much about their appearance and how they're looking. Like, I've never seen so many selfies in my life at the gym.
Really?
Like, just people like taking like
tops off and all that.
Yeah. But to be fair, I can say nothing. We had our tops off too when we were training. It was a nice buzz. So there's pros and cons to it. But 1 month I wanted to stay longer, but 2 months I was ready to come home. Right. And I would go again.
Well, what did you miss about home when you were there?
I missed obviously my family life. So I see there's just something about no matter how much work you have going on and no matter like how stressed out you are, there's always the good room with the TV on and the fire lit and the dogs just roaming. I like having
Doggo
that
box for the family.
Yeah, giving you a bit, but I missed that. But apart from that, it's not so. I can't really pinpoint what I missed about home, but I wanted to get back, and I didn't want to stay in Marbella any longer. Like you know the way a lot of times when people are home from a holiday and they see someone else there, they're like, oh fuck, I wish I was back. I haven't had a feeling since I've left that I'm like, oh, I wish I could go back.
Yeah, I was in London for 9 months and I didn't get one single feeling of that I want to be there again.
Mate, 2 days in London is enough for me. I don't like
you were
it at all.
fucking terrible. Watching you in London was actually one of the highlights of me being there.
Mate,
you were terrified of everything.
It's too busy. People are so rude. There's always stuff going on. No one says hello to you. No one waves at you when you're crossing the road. London's not the place for me.
Oh, it's
and that's another thing. What I didn't like about that's something that I would miss from home. One of the main things, the friendliness.
People saying hi to you.
Yeah, people just saying hello, just simple things like that. Being able to have a conversation in Marbella, everyone's like just focused on what they're doing, where they're going. If they're like, whereas I like communication, I feed off communication, friendliness. It recharges me. A lot of people, I would be quite an extrovert, so a lot of introverts would recharge their batteries when they're by themselves and would be drained by other people, whereas I'd be the opposite. I would recharge my batteries through conversations like this. This would make me fulfilled, and I'll go with loads of energy, and then I'll jump on a Zoom call tonight, and I'll not be like, oh, it was such a tough day, I'm so tired. I'll strive off that. So that's definitely something that you'll miss when you're in places like that.
Yeah, I think you'll get a lot of that from Australia. Australia, like, are you excited for it? Are you even thinking about it yet?
I haven't thought about it, but I've probably said on podcasts that I'm excited for it, but I'm looking forward to it, but I haven't got excited for it yet. I haven't thought about it. I've been so busy. I'm like, right, Australia's in January. That's what I'm working towards, and then I'm just not really thinking about it. Or I haven't planned it out.
What's your full plan? I know you said you were going to Cairns. You need to learn to say that properly. Cairns.
Cairns.
Learn how to say it properly.
So Caroline McKinney, she's the one that runs the County Down Under podcast. I was asking her for recommendations, like where should I go if I'm looking to travel around a bit, and she recommended me staying there. And then there was some hostel that she recommended. I can't remember exactly what it was called, but I looked it up and it was like it had a nightclub inside. It was a pure party hostel, and I was like, I want to travel, but I'm not looking to drink a lot.
I wonder how you're gonna do it, because it is sort of like that's what it is. If you know it, so like the East Coast is like it is a drinking thing.
Yeah.
And like how you meet people will be a drinking thing. So we did this is what I think about as well, because I'm going to Bali with Aaron, who's a PT as well, but if I went there on my own, how to meet people would be quite like, how do you do that without drinking? The only thing in Bali is like that CrossFit gym. In Australia, it's probably going to have to be something to do with fitness for you to meet people.
Yeah,
because it is like these hostels are drinking things. Yeah. They're sessions. That's what they are.
That's. I think it'll be a challenge for me. But throughout my my younger years, I formed a lot of connections through drinking, and then that's a lot of the time, not all the time, but some of the time. Possibly a lot of the time, that's all you have in common with the person. So I'm very cautious of the fact that when I go to Australia, if I'm building my connections just through partying and drinking, and that's who you're going to end up going traveling with and things, when it doesn't align with what I'm trying to do at the minute, I need to push myself out of my comfort zone and meet people sober. And don't get me wrong, I'm not a pioneer. I'll still have a drink. Sometimes I'll make connections through drinking, but more often than not, I want to try and do things sober and still be productive.
Yeah, the last time you spoke to me, I was probably adamant on going back to Australia, wasn't I? Mm-hmm. And I don't think I'm going to live there anymore because of that, because I'm a different person. Mm-hmm. Because I'd have thought all the people, if I go back to Australia, all the people I know is from me being a bartender and getting clean on it and blacking out 4 times a week. That's how I know everyone. So I was, over the last year, I've just been thinking about it. I'm like, when I go back, my life is going to be, my life there that I enjoyed isn't going to be the life that I'll enjoy now.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm missing something that I wouldn't even do anymore.
I feel like a lot of people fall into that trap where they go to Australia and they never actually properly grow up, where they're still just drinking all the time, and that's what they're based on.
I think you still grow up though. Mm-hmm. Like, see, even though I was there and getting on it all the time, I still, I grew up the most I'd ever grew up, because I moved out of home for the first time in my life. You're building all that now. Mm. And you also have to save if you want to do stuff and shit. So and you're away from home for 2 years, so you grow up. You grow up a lot. Yeah. You're not with your family. You're on your own.
I think even though, so I've only got a 3-month holiday visa. I'm just going to go for 3 months originally, but I think that 3 months, what I do and what I experience on it will completely change the full trajectory of my life.
That's why I actually want you to like it. Mm-hmm. So that's why when, if someone else gave you advice for it, I think I would be able to give you stuff that will maybe work for you. Mm-hmm. Because I if you've met Michael hated it, but me and Michael went about Australia completely differently. Yeah. I went and deliberately got a bar job, and it wasn't just drinking as well. I started playing. I joined a 5-a-side team, an 11-a-side team, and I went out loads as well. But I also just asked Michael. I spoke to everyone. Mm-hmm. See, even if I was serving people in the bar, so I would know everyone, because I went out with the intention of just speaking to as many people as possible, and that's where I got half of my chat.
Yeah, I think that's the best way to go about things, because at the end of the day, we're social creatures, and see, since lockdown, there's communication connections and stuff like that have plummeted massively. Less people are going out speaking to other people, and I think from a happiness standpoint, that's one of my things too. I need to be, as I said, I need to be around other people, and a lot of people overthink it. You can go up to a random group of people and just be like, "How's it going? Where are you from?" And then you'll have a connection. Or even if they're rude and they don't like you, it's not the end of the world. But I think definitely when I go over a lot of conversations and a lot of just trying to put myself out there.
It's quite easy when you're Scottish or Irish over there, because you all gravitate towards each other. I actually gravitated towards a lot of Northern Irish, so that's why loads of my mates are Northern Irish. But you end up gravitating towards your own. So it's actually, see, if you're out and you hear someone with the same accent as you, it's really easy to meet mates, even if you're not sober. And also in Australia, it's if you try not drink in the UK and start trying to make mates, it's so hard.
Yeah, it sounds bad, but a lot of people that don't drink are a bit weird.
Yeah, Usually they
not
are.
all the time. Like I don't drink that much, and I wouldn't refer
Like
to
if you're
myself.
when you were like 20 and people don't drink.
like if
I
you
keep
don't-
saying that, I'm like you're like 22
yeah,
now, are you?
22. Yeah,
So, but like most people that don't drink much at 22 that I found,
yeah. You're like, what's the crack, lad? Come on,
strong.
take a pint there, lad.
Very good. Yeah. Get yourself a wee pint.
Yeah, it's the only drug that people think you have a problem if you don't do it. Like,
Well, I still have.
yeah.
I still have like mates that will like be like, "Are you coming out?" And I'm like, "Mate, it's been 2 years since I
yeah,
was like that."
I don't even get asked anymore. People sort of
It's
know.
like really fading, but it's because I still will. I still will if it's an occasion or like a wedding or something. I'll still drink and I'll drink the same way I used to, but it takes me like 4 days to recover.
Yeah, I don't like myself when I'm blackout drunk. It's not me. I'm in no control whatsoever. I like having a drink. I like getting drunk and having a bit of crack. But when I get to the stage where it's blackout, that's not even me as a person. I'm just walking around like literally a human idiot. Like
You get like 70-year-old man drunk.
yeah,
Yeah,
what's
like-
that mean?
Like where you can't really like construct a sentence.
Ah, mate, that's when I get blackout. Like
I don't ever get to that state. I get blackout, but I just like when I used to drink in Australia all the time. On like the Sundays when we went out, that'd be like everyone from work, and I'd have finished like back to back 12-hour shifts serving people, and like see by my second pint, my brain would switch off. So I wouldn't be drunk after the second pint, but my brain would switch off,
Yeah.
and I'll come back in the Monday, and like people go, "Ah, do you remember you taking your top off down there?" But
yeah,
listen,
yeah.
whatever you've seen, that I don't need to know. I don't remember, so it's fine. You don't
Yeah.
need to tell me.
Oh, it's mental how you can just wake up and everything's just like, what the fuck
I
happened?
would I wouldn't do anything that bad, but I would just
Yeah.
it would scare me that I wouldn't remember things. I remember people telling me that they were like, "Oh, you were funny in the Chinese last night," and I was like, "What?" And they were
Yeah.
like, I was like, "I don't even remember. There wasn't a Chinese in my room." And I was like, "Oh, that's because you get knocked back." And I was like, "From the Chinese?" And they're like, "I don't remember this." Fucking horrendous. But that I think lockdown. I don't think I'd have stopped drinking if it wasn't for lockdown.
Yeah, I'm the same.
It's I think Andrew Huberman done a podcast on alcohol. You
I
seen it?
listened to it. Yeah.
He was talking about a lot of stuff to do with how it affects you differently when
It's
you
so
go
interesting.
when you go a long period without drinking. And I was never the type of person to like have a few beers on my own. I was very much doing it to socialize. So I was a social like I would never be a person that would just be like, "Oh, I need one or two to like calm down." And I used to just do it for socializing. So when lockdown hit, I drank the first month, and then I was like, "Fuck this!" Like I'm just getting steaming and I'm
Yeah.
not having any fun at all. And then I must have not drank for about 7 months. And then I remember the first beer I had. I was like, "Fuck, I'm gonna have a beer." It was disgusting,
Yeah.
and I'd never like had that before. It was as if it was like my first beer again.
I thought seeing that podcast, what I thought was really interesting, how alcohol affects different people differently. So someone could drink and get literally no, like you think someone has discipline because they don't drink, but they just don't get any of the positive effects from it.
Well, it makes sense, doesn't it? Because
Yeah.
you know people that go, "I don't like drink,"
Yeah.
and you'll be like, "What?"
Yeah, because it like some people will drink and they'll just get tired. Some people will get none of the negative effects or very little of them, all the positive ones. So when they're drinking, they'll be able to stay up all night. They'll be able to party. Other people will be 50-50 where they'll drink and then they'll get to like 10, 11 o'clock and any more alcohol after that, they'll not get any positive effects from it. So when you look at someone and you're like, "Oh, they have no discipline. They're just partying. They're an alcoholic or whatever." It's like their brain's wired differently. And obviously there needs to be some sort of self-discipline with it. But I thought it was like, I would probably be like somewhere in between. But if someone's like, gets all the good effects, I'm like, if I was that person that got all the good effects, very little hangover and stuff, I would probably be
Yeah, it's
just drinking flat out.
I'd have quite liked for me to have listened to that when I was like in my prime drinking years, and I'd have maybe stopped a bit more because everything he was saying about how you're genetically disposed to like alcoholism, I would have had all of it. Like I wouldn't really have the negative effects. Like I would have a great time. I wouldn't want to drink in the house, but it's because when I drank out, like I had such a laugh.
Yeah.
Because I did get all the positive effects. Like it would make me, like I was already extroverted, but it would just make me a bit. I thought I was like funnier and quicker when I was drunk. I thought my brain like worked quicker in terms of like being funny when I was drunk.
Yeah.
Like that's what I thought, and that's probably why I done it. I never used to get like tired and stuff.
There's positive sides to drinking too, like as in like making friends in the community and things like that. I thought that that podcast, and maybe rightly so, it did portray drinking in a very negative way. But like there is people that can have a drink and it's absolutely no issue. It fits in with their lifestyle and it's fine. And like I hate being on a podcast when I'm talking about drinking and being like, oh, I'm trying to cut down on drinking, because there's people that will be listening to this podcast that just have a drink at the weekends with their friends, and there's nothing wrong with that. Whereas when I was drinking all the time, it wasn't that. It was like it was just partying and like not really any intellectual conversation. It was just like, ew, what's the fucking crack, boy? So like don't listen to me talking about drinking, talking about how I don't want to be doing it as much, because someone listening to this could have a completely different perception of it, and it could actually be something that adds to their life and benefits it, because it's a social thing and there's no issue with it at all. So I think that most people just need to figure out where they're at. Like, is it actually something that's having benefit, which it might be, or is it something that they should draw back on?
Do you know what I will ask you? And you've probably heard me speak about, because I know you listen to a few of the podcasts. How do you feel about the fact there's about 4,000 versions of your videos right now?
Oh my, yeah. Yeah, when you start making videos, people are always going to copy, but it's just frustrating when people are copying you almost word for word, and especially when like other people that are following them think it's their content, and you're like, that's my content, and all these people are viewing their content and praising how good it is. Yeah. It's my content, but at the end of the day, right, Have
you changed a lot of the way you're doing things?
Oh yeah, my content's changed. I'm trying to make a style that people can't copy as well, because at the start, when I was getting into the swing of things, it was short, snappy. It was like, here's 3 fat loss tips. I haven't done.
We were like just trying to find anything that worked.
Oh yeah. We were doing similar content, but it wasn't like copying, because we were both bouncing off each other.
But me and you were like trying to figure out TikTok.
Yeah, we were trying to figure it out, and at the start it was like,
But nobody knew TikTok then, because it only just started.
Oh, nobody knew it. That's why people get such good results off my social circle courses, because see all the people that are social media experts, their information is clueless because it's all outdated. But yeah, I've changed my content massively, because at the start it was like, here's 3 fat loss tips, here's a few ways, the classic, here's a few ways to make a calorie deficit, not feel like a calorie deficit.
You just said the word calorie deficit, I was like, that's my bang.
I know, but now what I'm trying to do is, yes, keep the same like sort of structure and keep it engaging, but take one particular topic, like for example, running for fat loss, or why you shouldn't do cardio for fat loss, and talk about it in depth, and be me talking to a camera with a road mic. I get much more fulfillment out of them videos, and I'm much more happier making them than a quick voiceover that's like, here's 3 tips, first tip, second tip, third tip, fourth tip. Yeah. Make sure you follow for more, and it just sounds so robotic. Like,
I can't do the follow me thing.
Yeah, I think that for some people it sounds awful, because they don't understand like, whether you see a call to action in the video, it's not something that like flows that well, but the difference that it makes to your content and the audience that you build is fucking massive. And you know yourself from you used to do it, and you can't deny it, but it can't be like robotic and be like, oh yeah, if you like this, then please follow for more. You need to make it, maybe add some humor to it, or make it flowy. But at the end of the day, when I have content that I didn't know can help people, I want to make my audience bigger. So just adding that simple thing in, it makes a world of difference. But it needs to flow in with the content.
See, when you went on that, here's a crack?
Yeah.
Is that? I seen some of the videos, you were getting quite a lot of backlash on it. Did you read any of it?
Oh yeah, all of it.
Did you? Yes, Gavin, I am traumatized. How do you feel about that? Because I see it happening to like a lot of fitness people when they start getting a bit more followers or whatever. Yeah. People do start turning against them. How are you dealing with that?
Yeah, people are always going to turn against you. But you know what I hate? You know what I hate? Them people. They're all like, people hate me because I'm so successful, and they're jealous. That's not the case. That's not the case. No one hates you just because you're successful. Maybe a small amount do, but you can't say any criticism that you get is just because they're not making as much money or they don't have as much followers. That's not the case. We need to break criticism down. Does this person have a point? If someone's commented something on my video and they're disagreeing with me, do they have a point? If they do have a point, will I take that on board? Will I do research? If I disagree with their point, am I going to spend time arguing with them? Sometimes I am, sometimes I'm not. But sometimes...
do you know I never do anymore, ever.
Yeah,
I never
it's hard. It's hard not to, but...
It's not... It's like alcohol. If you take a break, mate, you just actually go... Oh, that's actually you don't feel. I've never once had an interaction with someone that's like disagreed with me. Maybe even tried to put my point across and felt good after.
Oh, no,
that's why I stopped doing it, because I was like, there's no good. I'd never got a good feeling out of it ever.
But you see, in terms of like, you're like, how do you deal with criticism? It's just like, I look at what they're saying and I take it on board. Sometimes people are criticizing my recipes. They're like, you've overcooked your chicken, and I'm like, okay, probably have, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? And I'll use that to make my recipes and make my content better. But sometimes people are just having a jab at me for no reason. The way I talk, the way I pronounce words.
They don't know you're a boxer.
Yeah,
as well.
exactly. And if that's the case, especially if it's a fake profile, my way of processing is like that person's clearly projecting their own insecurities. But if you look at the Here's the Crack podcast, sometimes people are misinterpreting what I'm saying.
That's because it's just a clip. That's
Yeah,
the same
I was talking about university and how I went to university and I thought it was a waste of time and it's a bit of a scam. And then people were commenting all this stuff. But I wasn't saying don't go to university. I was saying if you know clearly what you want to do, go to university. I also talked about how it can be good from a social side of things. But if people misinterpret what I said and then they're disagreeing and giving me criticism, oh, this guy doesn't have a clue. Like, that was probably the most criticism I got in that video about university. People were outraged by it, but it didn't affect me in a negative way because I knew that they'd misinterpreted what I said. And I knew that if I sat down and have a conversation with them and explained my viewpoint, they'd be like, oh yeah, that's fair enough, mate.
I feel like you do think about what you're saying a lot more now. I can even see it like in your face now. You do like. Do you feel like it has an effect on you that way? Do you know that's the exact reason I started this podcast, so that I could just literally. So I literally don't give a fuck about what I say. Like, I seriously am just like, I'm just gonna say it. And my actual whole premise of the podcast was, I don't really care if you don't agree with everything I say. Some of my ratings on like Spotify or like Apple, you know, you can like give people a rating if you want to do that. That helps the podcast out, you fucking pricks. But they're like,
Call to action, call to action.
Exactly. Yeah, right. There we go. Get it. Fucking give me money, you cunts. But I started being like, this is like my point of view and like saying everything I wanted to say. Because I felt horrible when I would look back through my videos and go, oh, someone's going to take that out of context. Someone's going to take that out of context. And you know, since I started doing it, I get about 1% the amount of people like having a go at me in my DMs, because I'm literally just like, I don't like. You're allowed to have your opinion, and like I just want to say what I think about something, and I'm not trying to portray my opinion on it.
Yeah.
It's my podcast, and I just want to say stuff. And I want to now do fitness in a way where I'm just having a laugh most of the time. Whilst giving, I want to have a laugh more because that's when I enjoy life most. And I was starting to get to the point where I was doing videos for views, getting so much fucking gimps in my DMs, saying stuff to me that I don't give a fuck about. And I was like, do you know what? I just want to have a laugh. Yeah. See, if I want to take the piss out with something that you find a bit offensive, I don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
Realistically, I actually don't give a fuck because I wasn't actually slagging what you think I'm slagging. I just thought it was funny. And that's the way I'm starting to come across.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I definitely do tread carefully because at the end of the day, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to build a business, a fitness business. So oftentimes I feel like people put too many of their own personal viewpoints out to their audience because they're trying to filter out certain people that don't connect with them. At the end of the day, if I want to help someone with their fitness goals, their political beliefs or anything like that has nothing to do with me helping them with their fitness.
Who do you vote?
I don't vote, actually. I don't vote. So there's my
tell me more. Tell me more. Why don't you vote, Sean? That is a fucking disgrace.
Right, so now we're going to get controversial, but like I was saying,
he told me he votes Sinn Féin before he talked.
No, but what I was saying, like I will not talk about things that I know are like going to be really controversial on purpose. I'll still put my own personal viewpoint on, but I prefer talking about it in long form content, not short form content.
Wait, no, but I'm gonna clip you up and make you look like prick.
Yeah, mate, exactly. But no, I don't vote because I don't see, like, I don't fully agree with any of them, and I don't. Right, people are going to be like, oh, here we go. But I don't spend my time researching politicians and things like that when I could spend my time growing my business, growing my social media, and focusing on myself. I think if a lot more people focused on themselves instead of focusing on, oh, what's that politician, why they're doing that, and blaming other people. Now, obviously, they're like, you can't just have anyone, like, let politicians get away with anything. But my personal viewpoint is on it. Other people will sort it out. People are going to hate this. People are going to hate this. But my one vote actually isn't going to make that much of a difference. I know if everyone starts saying that, it will. But I don't even know who's in power at the minute. I don't know what's going on because I'm just focused on myself. And I feel like if a lot of people focus more on themselves instead of other things, it would be a lot better. But that, like, I have nothing against voting if you want to do it. But I just think there's bigger fish to fry, like.
No, I agree. There should be an independent Scotland and a united Ireland. I couldn't agree more. Too right. Okay. Clip that bitch.
What the fuck was that laugh? It sounded like an animal there.
Do you know what I've never understood about you as well?
Hit me with it.
How the fuck you managed to do like 6 different things at once? Like, see, when you started, right? So, say there was me, you, Michael, Aaron, Tyler. Like, that was like our sort of, like, our group, or the people we knew that were starting.
Yeah.
Sean Fitz wasn't even, like, you met him after.
Yeah, he wasn't really.
So, like, do you know what I mean?
clique.
That little group we had. We were all doing, like, TikTok and, like, posting on Instagram every now and then. You had TikTok, you had a podcast, you were putting out YouTube videos, and you were, like, going on other people's podcasts, and you were coaching as well. I was like, I can only do the TikTok. How's he doing the 5 things?
Yeah, I think it comes down to, remember when we were talking about how alcohol...
Mentality, mate.
No, it's not that. Remember how we were talking about how alcohol affects people differently? The same way with what you enjoy doing. And like, say for example, you sometimes think, oh fuck, I need to take a break from posting for like 5 days. I'm drained. I'd be the opposite. If I take one day off posting, I'm ready to get back to it the next day.
Right.
And I enjoy... A lot of people aren't, like, whatever way they're wired, they don't enjoy the process of making content, editing it and uploading it. I love every part of it. When I make a bit of content, I'm like watching it back and I'm like, that's a banger, I'm going to upload it. Podcasts like this.
You watch about that. He's fucking right. You shouldn't be. You don't have to
watching
run for
my own
fat loss.
videos back. This guy's a genius. But I'm lucky that I enjoy the full process, and I've just went hard at it. Like, I've went hard. Like, I'll admit that. Like, with everything that I've done, but it's just because I enjoy it. And if I see potential with something, I'm like, this is what I could do. I want to work towards it. I always like moving in the right direction. I always like working towards a specific goal. So just with social media, I've took to it really well, and I do enjoy the full process of it.
I reckon you're getting nudes sent to you, and that's what's seen you on.
That's
I reckon that's what it is. I reckon you just keep it all under the carpet, sweep under the carpet, mate.
You're going to be checking the DMs after.
Oh, definitely. Give me a fucking shot. Let me in there. I'll fucking talk to these. That's not where. So, when I started taking this seriously, so I've been doing this. My first one was like 8 months ago. I've not missed a week uploading for like 4.5 months.
Yeah.
So this is my thing.
Yeah.
Like, I've realised that with coaching as well. Online coaching isn't my thing. I do love in person. Like, I'm extremely extroverted, mate. Like I actually can't just sit in the house and work. Like, I can't do it. I can't sit on my phone all day. I love editing videos. I've done it since I was 14. I used to make freestyle videos and all that. I was obsessed with like making little videos with stuff. So I've always been obsessed with that. I've always been obsessed with like editing. But it was just the actual short form I didn't enjoy. I feel like I'm not myself when I'm trying to catch people's attention. I feel like a lot of people, I think you are quite similar to your short form videos. I don't think I am. I think I'm completely different to my short form videos.
Yeah, I think that I'm similar on...
You're maybe like 10% more energetic, whereas I think I'm like so much more chilled on a podcast, like so much more chilled.
I'm quite... I talk similar.
Like, I'm just a wind up, that's all I am.
But see it, like, even when I'm talking here, if I'm doing a short form video, I'll just be talking the exact same way. The only time I'm really projected is in the first 3 or 4 seconds. But it's more like the first, like, it's the hook that annoys me. It's like, I need to say something like, that I'm like, oh, that sounds a bit mean. Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
But, like, if the way I think about it is with a hook and things like that, if you have value in your content, you want this to be seen by more people. So it's an attention grabbing competition. You need to grab people's attention.
Yeah.
But you're never... There's a major difference between people that will just lie in the start of the video or spread misinformation. If you have information that you think is good and can help people, in my opinion, I want to do as much as possible to get that information out to as many people as possible, and I want to help other people that have that good information to do the same, because for far too long there was a surplus of misinformation online. What went to the top?
They were all getting fat, were they?
What went to the top of the algorithm was all lies about fat loss. So now if I can help people that have good information get their message across, I think that's a good trade-off.
I agree. Like, that was what I was talking about to that guy that I had on with the burpees, because he was saying how what I said on that video as well was, he was trying to make the argument that I was putting people off exercise by saying like slagging off burpees, slagging off shit, and I was like, I don't really think I am, because I think the people who are going to do burpees are going to do burpees, and I was like, I think the people that haven't discovered other forms of exercise yet could be into it if they were showing it in a way that they were attracted to.
Yeah.
So people that tend to watch me tend to be working class.
But
people that watch me tend to be like mostly Scottish and like Southern Irish and like Northern Irish. I don't really get many Tories.
Yeah.
And they want to see someone talking about things that they don't like, but also giving them a solution to it. So it's not necessarily that mine's is better. It's just like they don't like what I'm slagging off, and I'm giving them a different one.
Yeah, and you're trying to like see with things like burpees.
Whilst entertain them and like make it interesting.
Yeah, things like burpees and hit training and all that sort of stuff. I never said you don't do it. I always just see with anything like that. I like to make sure people are doing it for the right reasons. So with my content, I'd be talking about this is not going to help you lose fat. This is not what you should be focusing on, because a lot of people aren't doing burpees because they like burpees. They're doing burpees because they think that they have to do that in order to do whatever. And we're not talking about fat loss, so that's bounce.
We didn't mention calories. To be
We
fair.
didn't mention calories, but yeah, I think just educating people on the reasons why they're doing things instead of saying don't do that. Like if they have an understanding why they're doing it, it's fine. But
Do you think more people will learn more from your podcast?
yeah, this is the thing about short form content. I think my short form content is great and people learn a lot from it, but I use my short form content to drive traffic to my podcast. If it wasn't for my short form content being so successful, my podcast wouldn't be the #1 fitness podcast in Ireland. So
You may as well have just got your cock out.
yeah, but yeah, I feel like there's nuances and there's certain things that you can't get across in a 60-second video. But just saying like don't do short form content because podcasts are better. Why don't we do both at the same time?
Well, that's I'm doing both.
Yeah,
and like I found like clipping podcasts is getting at me way more listeners. You don't really do that, do you? Because it's Zoom.
it's a lot of Zoom, and I don't.
Mate, it's a completely different art.
Yeah.
Clipping podcast clips. It makes the ones that go viral make no sense.
Oh yeah, that's.
I'm literally just clipping free, and I'm like, do you know what? These are going up. I like. We used to think that TikTok made no sense, and then like you especially like started cracking it a lot more. But podcasts is honestly like because you're talking about so many different things. So now I'm finding that it's just more like something controversial, and then get them in that way. But also you can't talk about. Do you know my least favorite podcast that I've done is like the solo ones where I'm actually talking about like fitness. I can't do it.
Interesting, because my most listened to ones would be the solo ones.
Because some of them are my most listened to, but I've hated every second of it. It's like, do you not think the solo ones are really hard?
They're hard, but I enjoy doing them because, like, with the short form content, I can sit down and just really explain what I mean in the short form content. I can explain like why potentially you shouldn't be doing cardio for fat loss, but all the benefits. What?
Do you know the word?
You
didn't say.
I don't know, but
just watching.
Yeah,
I'm ready. I'm like this.
I do enjoy solo episodes and things like that because I just like sitting down and articulate my viewpoint. But that's how I'm lucky with podcasts, with social media and things like that. I do genuinely enjoy. There's not really much of it that I'm like, oh, can we bother today? That's why I do post so much, because I'm looking forward to doing that each day.
Well, how long do you think it took you to like start grasping what was really going on with TikTok? What were you at? Do you think it was mostly just from watching what your own videos were doing, or were you like going and watching other videos on like how to grow and stuff?
No,
because you took a real like obsession with it, didn't you?
I say this all the time. I am obsessed with finding out why things work. So social media was the exact same way. So what I was doing was I was trying to learn from other people, but when I was listening to people's podcasts and social media and listening to their content, I was like, I disagree with you. So then I sort of was all like, they're wrong. That what they're saying isn't right. You shouldn't be focusing on posting infographics or hiring someone to put your face on an infographic and post it to your Instagram page. No one wants to see that. You shouldn't be using this font that everyone's using. Your bio shouldn't look the same as everyone else's. So I was all like, all this information from other people, I disagree with it. So I sort of formed my own ideologies, and obviously they've helped people massively.
What? So there was no like maybe sources you were watching about like hooks and stuff like that?
No. This is all stuff that I figured out. Look, I didn't invent the hook,
No,
obviously, but this is stuff that I figured out.
You were
myself.
only watching your own videos back, then taking like basically you were studying your own content.
Yeah, and other people's. You're gonna look at the likes of your content. You're gonna look at the videos that do well. You're gonna look at a few other people's content, and then look for trends. But it was the majority of the time it was looking at analytics on my videos. Post. Right, these videos do well. What do they all have in common? How did I structure them? And then post. Out of the videos that you narrowed down, then narrow down again, and eventually I sort of came up with this sort of technique for posting that worked almost every time.
Do you think that's what you'll go, like in a few years? Do you think that's what you'll mainly focus on?
No, I think.
Like, what do you enjoy the most out of the stuff you're doing?
So see this Zoom call tonight. I love doing it. I think that the social circle is going to get bigger. There's no way around it. Like, see, even in the past week with the results, the amount of people flooding in. That's why I'm working so much at the minute. I'm in the DMs all the time, replying to people, getting them in. I need to look at the next step of hiring a team. I need to hire people under me because I can't continue to
You
work.
got your sister working for you?
My sister, I couldn't do all my businesses without her. She's absolutely brilliant. She helps me with the social circle, with the recipe books, with the academy. But I'll need more people. I'll need to figure out what they're going to do. But I will always have the academy. That's why I don't post. I want to do the social circle podcast, but that's why I don't post that much social circle short form content because I prefer.
You would need to morph into another person.
Yeah, I prefer.
Like, as in, there need to be three of you.
Yeah, I prefer.
Right, Sean Casey number 1, you're doing the academy today.
Yeah.
Sean Casey number 2, you'll be doing the social circle podcast.
Yeah.
The third one, reply to birds and DMs to get me some. That's the area of my life that I need to sort out. So get back to those nudes.
Yeah, no, but
Get in a deficit. Get out those abs out.
I definitely prefer the fitness posting content, but I love helping people with their fitness, but I also do love helping people with their social media and business and things like that. So it's going to naturally grow, and there's going to naturally have to be things that I have to sort out. But at the minute, I'm running everything at the same time.
How are you going to do it in Australia?
So my businesses are set up in such a way where this is a growth period. So I'm working like 12 hours a day, morning to night, replying to messages because I'm trying to grow my business, get new people in, do launches and things like that. But the actual maintenance of my businesses, I've set them up in such a way where I can go for a walk in the morning and reply to messages, go for a walk in the evening and reply to messages, reply to Facebook posts, and then have one Zoom call on Thursday. So when we're in a maintenance period of business instead of a growth period, I have to work a few hours a day and I can cater for all my clients. I can reply to them, but I've set it up in such a way where I can do that. So this is...
Explain to me exactly how that works.
What do you mean?
Because I'm the opposite.
What do you mean?
Like, as in I haven't set my businesses up like that.
So with the academy, it's a group coaching service. So I'm not expected to check in with everyone. I'm not. There will be people that I'll check in with, especially with the academy. The people that get the best results are the ones that are proactive. They're always posting. They're always messaging
It's the same
me.
with any sort of service.
So I will check in with some of them, especially if they haven't posted in a while. But it's not like you're guaranteed. Like, I have to check in with 300 clients every week. The Zoom call is instead of that. So we do a Zoom call on a weekly basis on Thursday at 8 p.m. So the people come ask questions. People ask me questions at any time. So the way it's set up that I don't have to work all hours of the day is I get up in the morning, go for a walk, and voice note everyone back that has questions. I'll go through the Facebook group, and I'll do that again in the evening. I'll go through all the messages, and I'll go through the Facebook group, and then it's just a Zoom call on a Thursday. But say, for example, I did on a launch recently, there was so many messages that I had to do it, but after the initial few weeks, it sort of calms down. The recipe book business, everyone's like, how do you run so many businesses? The recipe book business runs itself. I don't have to do anything apart from post social media content. The social circle is a course that has a Facebook group, and I do reply to people on there, but it's sold as a one-off payment as a course, so I can go onto it every few days and reply to people on that. But I'm going to be turned into a subscription in January.
Social circle is?
And into introducing Zoom calls and things like that. But I can work in the morning, I can work in the evening, and I can always do that no matter where I am in the world, as long as I'm not going out on benders and drinking flat out. So it is...
If I'm going for a pint.
If it's a maintenance period, I can afford to do that.
What's your project at the moment?
So what's my project at the moment? The new recipe book. So when we first started making the recipe books, it was just me and my sister on my iPhone just taking photos, and they all looked horrendous, but it's still done really well. So now the new recipe book, we've hired like a professional photographer and things like that, and we're looking to upgrade it massively. So that's the project. As I said, I'll be turning the social circle into a subscription. I'm only after launching a new challenge within my academy. I know you don't like fat loss challenges, but I market mine as this is 8 weeks to set up the rest of your life.
You've actually listened to quite a lot of my podcasts.
Yeah, I listen to them all.
Do you like them?
Yeah, I do like them.
Have you rated it?
I have rated, I think. I'll check for you after.
Fucking better.
But the way I always say with the challenges is 8 weeks to build healthy and sustainable habits for the rest of your life. Often people that win the challenges don't even lose any weight. Nearly every time the people...
It's more, do you know what my thing with the fat loss challenges is? It's the picture.
Yeah.
Like if that's the winner. If
Yeah.
the winner is who's lost the most
Yeah.
fat, I'm like, that's a slimming club.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like that is literally a slimming club.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of PTs are backed into a corner where they almost need a post before and afters to get clients when they're struggling to. It happens that, like, I have before and afters from the academy, but I don't post them unless I really had to.
So
Like,
I've started posting some, but my whole thing now is like I actually think transformation pictures are more impressive when there's a longer length in between them
Yeah.
than actual the difference. So obviously you're not going to post it for the fucking same, but if it's been like a year, and I actually think it's more impressive if someone is way heavier than someone, because not being funny, right, but see if someone is only like a stone or 2 stone overweight and then they lose that weight, it looks way more impressive than someone that's maybe like 50 kilos
Yeah.
overweight and they lose 20 kilos, even though that's more life changing.
Yeah,
That's more like fixed
Yeah.
a lot of their health conditions.
Yeah.
But 20 kilos on someone that might have still quite a lot to lose might not look that impressive, but it's fucking life
Oh
changing.
yeah, completely. And the thing with my challenges is I give people what they want in order to give them what they need. So a lot of people want the 8-week challenge, the 12-week challenge to lose the amount of weight, but then when they join and they're in the Zoom calls, they're all like, the winner isn't the person that loses the most amount of weight. You shouldn't be losing.
Who is the winner then?
The winner is the person that community is an extremely important part of it, because see, when you start a fat loss journey or a fitness journey, oftentimes you're alone and other people in your family aren't on the same journey.
Oh mate, dude,
so
like I always say, like, my parents gave me the worst diet advice
Yeah.
possible. That's
Yeah.
why I had no idea about food. My dad's trying to lose weight again. Remember I took him through
Oh,
a
yeah,
weight
yeah.
loss, made him lose 5 stone. He's doing it again, but he put on like a stone and a half, which you do, and he's trying to lose it again. So he's like still lost loads of that weight. Like his health is still good, but he's just trying to lose it again. He's like, I'm going to lose 5 pounds on the first week, and I'm like, why?
yeah. See, no.
And then I'm like, why are you going back to that? I was like, we've been through this, and he's like, and then he starts like fixing it and starts like just saying what I want to hear. I'm like, no, honestly,
Yeah.
why would you
I
go
know,
back to doing
it's
that?
hard, but that's why I try and educate people. Like, the winner will be someone that's interactive in the community, that helps and supports other members, that joins the Zoom calls, because since there's no check-in, I can't be talking to them on a weekly basis. So I think joining the Zoom calls and communicating with me is an extremely important part of it, and someone that embodies what I actually teach. So being able to fit in a wedding, being able to fit in a holiday, not letting it derail you, and just getting back on track after. The thing that I love most about fitness is not... It's more so people's relationship with food and exercise, because I think that's what people struggle with the most. So that's what I get the most satisfaction out of, because everyone can lose weight, anyone can restrict
So
themselves.
you're actually trying to teach them. It's actually not. Obviously, the changing their body helps, but if you look at it, it's more getting people to fix their relationship with themselves.
It's completely a mental thing, and it's the relationship with food and exercise, and understanding that it's a logical thing as well. You can't emotionally react to the fact that you went 200 over your calories. You have to logically think, I've went 200 over, it's Friday, I can't derail myself now until Monday.
200 calories over.
Oh fuck.
I was waiting for it.
It always just gradually, like,
You were like, what's he doing?
you have Sean Casey in a podcast. It's going well, it's going
Mate,
well. He
you done
hasn't
that.
said
You
he
done
hasn't
that.
said it yet, and then I'm just
You done that an hour, and then you had
Yeah.
a wee twitch there. 200 calories.
Yeah.
No, I get what you mean. I've been trying to push more about it not being about weight loss. Obviously, that's a byproduct of what you're doing, but I'm trying to come at it from a different angle. Because even when I was speaking about fat loss all the time, I was getting so many people that were like, I've lost weight, but I'm still unhappy with this. So I'm trying to make a lot of content that's it's actually more about how you see yourself as well. Like the way, I get slaughtered for how I look every single day, but it doesn't bother me
Yeah.
one single bit.
Yeah, it's mentally.
Like,
you
I
just need to
actually,
develop that.
it's one of the most toxic. I think it might be the most toxic industry.
Yeah,
It's actually horrific.
because the fitness industry, and I know this is something that you'll talk about as well, it's actually turned into the bodybuilding industry disguised as the fitness industry, and all these...
This is what I was saying.
Yeah.
I was saying that people that are bodybuilding should stop calling themselves fitness, I think.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
I think they're, like, don't get me wrong, I do respect bodybuilders if they're in it for the right reasons, and they understand that it is what it is, it's bodybuilding. But when you try and claim that like it's just fitness, when that's the
If
least
you can't
fit that
run a
you'll ever be.
5K,
Yeah.
don't have fitness in your name.
Yeah.
If you can't run a 5K without stopping, don't call yourself fitness. Because even though fitness, like bodybuilding, is technically fitness because it's like working out and exercising. Fitness, when you say fitness, you think of someone who's like healthy, and a bodybuilder most of the time aren't healthy.
Yeah, that's something that I want to transition to massively, because I was always great, like I was always really fit, and I'm still a decent amount of fitness, but I don't.
Marathon,
I'm not.
will we do it?
Yeah, I'm going to do a marathon, but
When
I'm
are you
not.
going to do it?
What?
When are you gonna do it?
I'll see how it goes. I'm doing 3 runs a week at
This
the minute.
guy.
Oh, come
No,
on. lad,
right,
come on.
no. We're gonna have to out you here. This guy, he was posting about doing a marathon, and I was like, fair fuck. So I was like, I'm gonna be interested. See if you started posting marathon training, I think I'd
I
have been,
was
no,
meant
but
to.
nah, you fucking shut the fucking.
Right,
yourself.
here's what happened.
See, no, but see if you posted marathon training, right, and you were on your stories every day, but I'd have been glued to that. Not being fun. And if it was like, I love shit like that. See if it was like you, was it just you and Evan?
Me, Evan, and Sean Power.
I don't know.
You don't know him, though.
So you, Evan, and this guy, this man.
This individual.
If you had done that and it was like a challenge, like I don't even mean if you're posting about it every day, but I'd have just been clocking in to see that, because I love, like, if you've made it like a proper race to who's going to win and you were posting your training and stuff, I'd have been all over that.
I had
you
every
seen me
intention.
arguing with Michael?
Yeah.
Because he dimmed that down. He was trying to tell me a few weeks ago that he could beat me on 5K, and he was like, give me training. He was like, I used to box when I was younger. I was like, oh. What's that got to do with? And you used to run? I was like, I'll look at the length of my legs, mate. I can like, I'll spring past you. And he was saying, he's like 6 months, and I was like, do it then. He doesn't know I've been running, by the way.
Oh, he doesn't know?
No,
Hopefully
don't
he's
tell.
not listening.
This is at the very end. People who don't usually have the attention span to get to this point.
How much have you been running?
Nah, just like twice a week, just taking over. But just like 5Ks and like 10Ks, quite slow. But and I climbed the mountain the other day, and it's pretty much the exact same sort of cardio.
Yeah.
So whenever he wants to go, whenever he wants, I'm here with these fucking long dangly legs, and I will glide past him, mate, and I'll glide past you.
We'll see, lad. We'll see. I'm gonna be
but
training.
no, honestly, anytime you want to do a running thing, I'll do it.
Yeah.
The only person that I
In
wouldn't
Sydney.
be confident.
Marathon Sydney.
The only person I wouldn't be confident about being is my mate Jamie that I've showed you. He done like a sub 16.
Oh, that's just.
And he's not even a runner.
That's just ludicrous. Like.
He's not even a runner. He just started running, and I think he done a sub 3 hour marathon as well.
Oh, that's crazy. Like.
What the fuck's that about?
Fucked.
I was like, I was looking at his runs, and I was ready to tell him I'll beat you, and then I looked at his runs, like, nah, absolutely not a chance. So, actually, I need to out you. Sean stopped his marathon running because he got 2 blisters on his foot.
Actually, right. Here's the crack. I went for a run, and I'm flat-footed, so my heels were hanging over the shoe, and I got 2 blisters, and then I went to get new running shoes, and they said, you need to wait till the blisters heal, and then I went for a walk the next day, and then I bruised my foot, and then I was limping on it.
Sorry. This is
right.
like a court case, right? So you bruised your foot on a walk?
Oh, on a walk after I'd done the run.
What were you doing, putting trees?
I don't know, lad. Look, this is...
Were you volleying the
This
car?
is the way the cookie crumbles. I was meant to do a marathon, and I failed after one training run. I take full responsibility, and it won't happen again.
Are you gonna do it again?
I'm gonna do a marathon, but not with a month of training.
So when we do it, commit to one. If there's one in Sydney, we do it.
Yeah, because by the time I'm in Sydney, Sydney be the last place that I go, will be around March. So I'm running at the minute.
You actually could run whilst you're traveling down there, just like in the morning.
That's
do
one
like
of the
5K.
That's one of the main reasons that I want to run at the minute, because I want to be able to get up in Australia in the morning and go for a run and actually be fit and
It's
enjoy
actually quite fun if you just do like a 5K and it's not like doing it all out is quite fun as well. But see that running program I done, it is the funnest training. I think I've told you that before. It's the most I've enjoyed training. I hated every run, and you would get in like 2 kilometers in and be like, I actually want to throw myself off a bridge here. But then if you finish it, it's the best feeling in the world.
Mate, I would actually be the opposite. When I was running and I was really fit, I got into a flow state when I was running, and especially when my breathing and all was fine, and I actually really enjoyed it. So that's what I'm working towards. Like, I almost get more enjoyment during the run than after it, and most people aren't the same. But if I'm actually really fit and running at like well below what's actually tough to me, I find it very therapeutic.
Yeah, I would actually get back into running if I do enjoy the gym, but it does get quite monotonous. Like you are picking stuff up and putting it back down.
Yeah.
I love it, but it's just it in 2 years, am I going to be bench pressing? Probably not.
Yeah, no, that's why I want to give CrossFit and stuff a go, because it's something completely new.
CrossFit will be good for the community.
Yeah.
I think that's what you're going to have to do when you go to Australia.
Yeah.
You won't be able to come at it. Like, see if you go into the hostels, everyone your age is going to be like fully on it all the time, trying to get jobs as well. Because I remember meeting a guy when I was in Australia, and he had started a business, and he went out there, got a flat on his own in Melbourne, and then he was like in a pub one time, and we were all out, and he started talking to us, and he was like trying to get his business. I think he already had like a really good business. He's making bank, and he was like, I'm so miserable. And I was like, mate, you need, like, I tried to get him to join a football team and stuff, and he wouldn't do it. Like, he loved football, and I think he just left. Like, you need to come at it completely differently. But CrossFit, I think just go in, CrossFit, and you'll be sweet.
That's the plan.
Right, I think we'll end it here. That was a very interesting chat.
I enjoyed
That's
it.
probably the most different chat we've had, I think.
Yeah, definitely. It's good to get, because most of the time when
Studio's sick, isn't it?
it is. It's class. Most of the time when I'm on podcasts,
I
it's just about
can't wait to clip these up and just fucking United Island.
Sean Gacy thinks no one should vote.
Yeah.
he thinks politics is pointless.
This guy thinks
it doesn't
you shouldn't
matter who's
vote,
in power.
You shouldn't vote, but unless it's for United Island. No, pleasure having you on. Do you want to plug some of your stuff?
Just follow me on Instagram.
No, don't actually. You've got enough.
Yeah, I've got loads. Like, I don't need any more. But no, seriously, follow me on Instagram if you're interested. Social Circle page is there too. Free Social Circle course for anyone that wants to learn about that. But apart from that,
rate the podcast.
Yeah,
and then that'll be
rate the podcast. Yeah,
pleasure,
5
mate.
stars.
Thank you for coming on.
Thanks for having me.